So your chart says you're an emotional projector. Maybe you're somebody who's brand new to human design and you're looking at these words going, what the heck does this mean? Or maybe you're somebody who's been playing with human design for a while already, but you're still getting a bit lost and confused in the jargon, which by the way is completely understandable. The system has so much jargon. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through what these terms mean in plain user-friendly English. So as long as you speak English, we'll be great. The other people that this video is going to be useful for are people who love or work with an emotional projector. So if you have an emotional projector who is a spouse, a child, a business partner, a best friend, or maybe one of your coaching clients, if you are any other human design type and you would really like to better understand emotional projectors, then this video is for you. So what we'll do in this video is I'm going to talk about the word emotional, I'm going to talk about the word projector, and I'm going to talk about what it means when you put them together. So who am I to be teaching you about emotional projectors? Well, I'm Carolyn Southwell. I am a 2/4 emotional projector. And while I have been in this emotional projector body with this energy field my whole life, in the last 10 years of working with human design, I've had a chance to be able to understand the theory and matching it with my lived experience. I have also worked with so many different versions of emotional projectors in the last 10 years. So I'm going to take all of that and tell you all about you as an emotional projector. So let's tackle the first word, emotional. Now, emotional does not mean all of the things that you think about in day-to-day life. It doesn't mean you're emotionally reactive or you're designed to make emotional decisions or any of that stuff, although that may be true for you in your experience. What it means in human design speak, it has to do with the configuration of your chart. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the specifics of your chart so you can look at it in that context. But for now, let's introduce you to a new word, which is super important, inner authority. So you have what's called emotional inner authority, along with about 50% of the population. So not everyone is emotional projectors, but about 50% of the population have emotional inner authority. Now, inner authority is a human design term that talks to the way you're designed to make decisions. Now, inner authority just means you have an authority on your own life that lives within you. And part of human design, part of its job is to help you find that authority within yourself so you can guide your own damn life, right? That's the whole point of this system, to wake you up to the power and beauty of who you are so you can make your own decisions and live a life that's more aligned. So you have emotional inner authority. Now, if you look at your chart, in the bottom right-hand corner, there is a triangle. Down very low, it would be like hip height, right? Now, if it's colored in, it's usually colored in red, but some software do all sorts of funny, funky colors these days. If it's any color other than white, it means it is defined, and defined means it is a fixed, reliable energy in your energy field, okay? Now, if it is colored in for you, that is what gives you emotional inner authority, right? So assuming that we're talking to the emotional projectors here, on your chart, it will be colored in and it will have a colored line that connects it with another center. So that is the solar plexus, or some people call it the emotional center. More jargon, I know. So just know that that's the emotional center, or the solar plexus center, and it will have another line connecting it to another center. The centers are just those geometric shapes. There are lots of different possible configurations for you as an emotional projector. I could look at 10, 15, 20 different emotional projector clients in a row, and you might all have different permutations and configurations. But what you will all have in common, what you have in common with me, if you're an emotional projector, is that you are designed to make your best decisions by giving yourself time. As emotional projectors, we are not designed to know what we want in a split second. We're not designed to make our best decisions in the moment. Other designs are, but that's not correct for you and I. We need time. And the reason is that that emotional solar plexus center has a wave-like nature, which means you, me, and all our other emotionally defined brothers and sisters go on this experience every day. We're feeling our own emotions and we're having an experience of feeling high and feeling good and feeling low, feeling a bit meh. feeling high and excited by life and all extroverted and wanting to connect with the world, and low and just wanting to withdraw, right? Now, the exact cadence of your wave might be different to the next 10, 15, 20, 50 emotional projectors because we're all a little or a lot different. But what we all have in common as emotional projectors, emotional beings, is that we need time to be able to ride our wave to see if that opportunity feels good on a low day and on a high day. Now, there's nothing wrong with the fact that you operate in a wave. That's how you're designed as an emotionally defined being. But it is very important. Ask me how I know. It is very important that you don't make spontaneous decisions because it goes pear-shaped. As you can tell, I have stories about that. It goes pear-shaped when we jump into things, right? So it is very important that when you have an opportunity come to you, that you notice, and it will be a yes if these things happen. You feel a yes initially, and then as you ride out your wave, it still feels like a yes when you feel really good. It still feels like a yes when you feel kind of meh about life. And what you're looking for is to reach what is called emotional clarity. Now, the way I experience it in my body is a sense of knowing that this thing is correct for me. When I think about it, while I might have some tinge of excitement, mostly the predominant feeling for me is that it feels solid and reliable and correct. And even if it's a really big thing, I mostly feel neutral. I know that sometimes that thing is going to be challenging, but it's still going to be correct. That sometimes it's going to be wonderful and it's still going to be correct. So it's really important as an emotional projector that you wait. Did you get a yes initially? And then you give it some time to go through that ebb and flow, that rise and fall, that, feeling great about the world, feel like I got out of bed on the wrong side, and that you reach that sense of it stays a yes the whole way through. Then it's a correct opportunity for you to step into. How long will this process take? I hear you ask. Now, I want you to know that there are many human design teachers and coaches and readers who will teach a very prescriptive wait 3 days. I want to encourage you, if you have heard this, to chuck that prescription out because every single emotional projector will be a little bit different. How long you need will depend on a few factors. It's going to depend on your particular wave construction, and that's a bit too deep for the scope of this video. If you want to look for that information, look for information on the emotional waves, but it will depend on your particular configuration. It also depends on how big the opportunity is. So how much will your life have to change if you say yes to this opportunity? So I'll give you an example. When I was trying to make a decision just this last week about whether it was correct for me to work with a particular business mentor, I only needed like 2.5 days to get clarity. And I woke up and I was like, oh, this feels solid. It felt like a yes initially. And then I was feeling into it and I still didn't feel totally clear. And then I woke up and I was like, oh, I had already started planning what I wanted to work on with her specifically, right? So it felt really solid. When I was invited to move in with my partner here, and that was going to require me to pack up my life and move 900 kilometers north here in Australia, I took months to make that decision. I had a sense when he asked me that it was going to be a yes, but because it was such a big move that was going to create so much change in my life, I needed more time. I needed multiple emotional cycles to know whether or not that was correct for me. Yeah? So it depends on how big the opportunity is. The other thing is, it's going to depend if that opportunity is actually triggering unresolved stuff for you. So if you have a sense that it's a yes, whatever the thing is, but you find in the process that you have unresolved trauma that's getting triggered, you notice that you're afraid, you notice that you're ashamed, you notice that something gets activated and shows up, then for you to gain clarity, you might actually have to work through that emotional before you can really feel whether it's truly a yes or a no. And sometimes we're not really clear about that. And we don't talk about that enough in human design. But to not go down too deep a rabbit hole. So we've talked a little bit about how long. A good general rule is a minimum of sleeping on it. And if I need to communicate something to someone like, oh yeah, just give me a day or two to sleep on it, is the language that I use to buy myself time. Hey, if you found this video helpful so far, can you give it a thumbs up? That'll just help more emotional projectors to find this video. So the second term that we're going to cover is the word projector. In traditional human design, our names for our types have been given to us based on how our energy field or aura, it's the same thing, behaves. So for us as projectors, if we had a video camera that would capture what our energy field was doing as we were moving through the world interacting with people, what we would see is that our energy field projects deeply into one person at a time. So we are called a projector because our invisible energy field is projecting, penetrating deeply into one person at a time. Now, what this means is that one, we're very good at one-on-one connections with people. Two, we go very deep with people. We're basically incapable of shallowness. The only projectors I've seen who do a lot of shallow interactions are ones who are very traumatized and have not healed that trauma. And so to have deep interactions feels really scary for them. So we go really deep with people. Now, what it means is that we have a really innate, wonderful, gifted ability to be able to guide people because we can feel and see and sense and hear and see and all the things really deeply into people. But it's a very, very vulnerable experience for them and for us as the projector. So this is why the projector has the strategy of wait for the invitation or wait for recognition. And you may have seen those terms. So we'll talk about those a little bit as well. So as a projector, it makes you very good at guiding energy and guiding processes. But because it is such a vulnerable experience for the other person, it is essential. Let me say it again, essential that you practice waiting for people to ask you into that experience. That they say, hey, what do you think about this? Could you help with this? Do you have any insights on this? What do you think about this? Do you know something about this? Could you come help me? So wait for recognition, which you may have seen, just means a person recognizes that you have wisdom, value, expertise, knowledge. You have an ability to be able to help them and they want your help. And an invitation simply just means somebody asks. They ask and they genuinely want your input. It is as simple as that. So that's what that jargon means. Now, when we put the two together, an emotional projector means, and we have to kind of swap it, right? So as a projector, your opportunities come to you because people have recognized and invited you. That is, they see you have some value to offer and they've asked. And then if the invitation is something that's going to take any significant amount of your time, money, energy, attention, focus, then it's really important that you give yourself the time to reach that emotional clarity. Does it initially feel like a yes? Does it still feel like a yes after you've slept on it? When you've woken up on the wrong side of the bed? When you're excited about it? When you don't feel like talking to people? Give yourself a little bit of time to just reach that emotional clarity. And as much as you can practice saying yes to your yeses and no to your nos will dictate the quality of your life from this point forward. So if you're an emotional projector, I have 3 things for you. 1, you can tell me in the comments, what was most useful for you in this video? What was your aha moment? 2, do you want to share this video with another friend who's an emotional projector or somebody else who you know, might like to better understand you as an emotional projector? And 3, if you want more content for you as a projector, I'll put it on screen here, a whole playlist just for projectors.